Hi everybody, really excited to show you exactly how I use Todoist to get the most out of my day. And as somebody who has ADHD, I've just found I found my own way of working. Now, I'm going to say right from the start, my way of working might not suit you. It is a way that works for me. I find it works really well, but it's so important to actually, first of all, if you're going to try this, you've got to really say to yourself, I'm going to commit to doing this. I'm going to really try to follow along, because sometimes people want to do something, but they don't kind of make the space in their head to do it. And I think that's really important as well. You've got to almost make that promise to yourself, which is really hard, but it will change your life. And that's not being dramatic. That is actually being truthful, because I was somebody who always felt like I could never get anything done. My to-do lists were like always way beyond what I could do. And it's quite funny because I had a conversation with my personal assistant and I was saying how many hours I was trying to fit into the week. And it was like 200 and something hours. And I have like 40 hours in a week. And it was no wonder I was feeling overwhelmed. And I think that's the problem with most standard to-do lists, is that we feel like we never get through any of it. You know, we don't get that dopamine hit at the end because, quite frankly, we don't manage to complete what we think we're going to complete. So I'm going to show you how I use Todoist and what works for me, and some little tips and tricks that I have as well. So I hope you enjoy this. So, and I'm sorry if I'm a bit fidgety. I've got a really sore back at the moment, so bear with me. Okay, I'm just going to move myself to that side. Okay, so here we go. So your inbox is anything that I think of during the day, I just brain dump. I don't think about organising. I don't think about anything else. I just brain dump anything that I've got to do. So if something pops up on my inbox, or my husband tells me something that we need to do, straight away add it into your inbox. What's really good as well is on your mobile, I have, can you see, really big add task button. That's really helpful as well when you're on the go. So just add it into here. And what I do is every single day at the start of the day, I come into my inbox and I go, right, let's now go into it. So I put it into a folder. So I know this one will be admin, permanent move, and it's for me. And that's pretty much it. Save, gone. So that literally took 10 seconds. And you do the same with the others. So here on the left-hand side, that's the first thing that I do every morning when I come into my inbox. Now, I'm going to show you this because I have been really busy. And one thing I notice when I'm really, really feeling it is if I stop using my Todoist how I normally use it, the tasks just creep on up. Okay, so you're going to see here, overdue. Whoa. Okay, so first of all, reschedule today. Okay, so this is going to come into my today view. And obviously, some of these were from yesterday. I've already done that. So we just come in and I tick them off. Now, this looks really overwhelming right now. And that's because yesterday I didn't update it. So you can see already when you don't update something, how things can go. But here we've got, tells me how long, how many hours, like 5.5 hours worth of work. One trick that I always do, so they can always look like there's a lot of tasks. Some of my tasks are in like 10 minutes, but I have to have them in my calendar. I never go beyond 6 hours worth of tasks. Never schedule in anymore. Even if I'm going to do 8 hours a day, a 10-hour day, I would never ever schedule more than 6. And the reason being is because I've learned in the past I underestimate how long something will take, or there will always be something that pops up. Got to go drop something off at the nursery, or, got a bit of a sore back, need to integrate some more exercise into my day. There's always going to be something that will take you off track. So my rule of thumb is just focus on 6 hours if you're doing an 8-hour day. So you can play around with that to see what suits you. But also, another thing that I do now is I times everything by 3. So if I think something's going to take an hour, I put 3 hours. If I think something's going to take 10 minutes, I'll put 30 minutes. And even if consistently I'm doing that task within 10 minutes, I'll always keep it as 30. Maybe after like a month or so, I'll then change. But this really, really helps with time management because we always overestimate what we can do in a day. We think we can take on the world. And unfortunately, as I have realised, I cannot take on the world. So only having 6 hours worth of stuff to do within the day, or having times and everything by 3, then you're kind of covering all ground. And normally what happens is when I'm really on it, I go through all of my tasks. It's just like tick, tick, tick. Like my weekly performance check-in, that takes like 10 minutes. So I put all my recurring tasks in, even if that recurring task is so small. So normally what I like to look at my upcoming to see what I've definitely got in for like next week. The only downside I find to Todoist is like my recurring tasks only show on the next working day. So because I've completed these recurring tasks today, it's only showing that they're recurring on Monday. So it gives a little bit of a warped view because it looks like I've only got one task for Tuesday, which is going to take me 6 hours. But in reality, I've got my recurring tasks, which are going to take like 2 hours to do. So I could look at this and go, oh, okay, that's great. I'm within my 6 hours, but I'm actually not, if that makes sense. So there's always a little bit of tweaking to do, but that's fine because when you know you're only got 6 hours, I can then say, right, I need to make this 4 hours instead. So what I'll have to do is maybe make this 4 hours or split the task up into 2-3 hours across Tuesday, Wednesday. I have to do something to make sure that I don't go over my 6 hours because that's what works for me and that works really, really well. So I also try to make my life really, really easy. So for example, I've got, let me just go and find... Okay, so I've got my task here. What I do in my Todoist is I write in exactly what I need to do for that task. So this is actually going to somebody who does lead generation for me. And I put the task details into there. So if ever I have to go in or they have to go in, all they have to do is go open, save, search, select a page, click select all, do this, do that. I do that for everything, even if it's as simple as so I have a recurring task, I'll show you. Ensure Phantom Buster is working. And I put the link to Phantom Buster. So all I have to do is click on it, check that it's working. It doesn't actually take me 10 minutes. It literally takes me 60 seconds. Done. Task is done. And that also really, really helps. I find you just need to put in what it is that you need to do. Because there's something about habit formation and making things effortless that go hand in hand. If it becomes hard and it's hard work to do something, then you're not going to ever complete that thing because you're always going to feel like it's too much effort and it's going to require discipline. So if something's going to require a lot of discipline, then chances are you're not really going to do it, are you? So let's be truthful. Here, I'm back. So then I'm now going to show you my filters and labels. So it looks like there's quite a lot. There's not actually a lot. So my filters sometimes are just people who work with me. I don't actually have them all on there. Like Ali, if you're watching this, I know you know what you're doing. So I don't check up on you as often. But I can just see then if I've got any tasks assigned to certain people. To Dan, for example, I can see what tasks he's got going on. I like to have like due today. So these are my favorite ones. So like due tomorrow, what's coming up tomorrow, and everything else. Now, if you've got a team, one thing I find works really, really well is at risk. And it can be really scary. So my husband's actually in here as well. So I can actually see, and you go, oh gosh, why have you not ticked it off? So what I do here is I go into this and I look at it and go, they've not replied, there's no comment, what can we do? So I literally go into it, I go, how are we getting on? Can we tick this off if it's done? Now, it's really hard to get your team into a habit. So you have to almost be the person that oversees everything that your team does, which is challenging at times. But I use Slack as well with my team. So I screenshot things and I sort of say like, hey, these tasks are overdue. If they're overdue, we always have rules. So there should be a blocked label on it. If there's a blocked label on it, it means I can't move forward, I can't do anything. So I know every day I can come in and I can look at blocked and see who's blocked. So an overdue task is okay as long as it's got blocked on it or it's awaiting approval. So my team, whenever they do anything, if they're doing anything for socials, if they're doing anything for clients or anything like that, they always put it into approval. So then I can come in here and I can go, right, what do I need to do? So we can click onto something in here and we can go, right, what's going on? And then I can just sort of like add a comment. I can approve it. Normally what I do is then I unapprove the label. Then if I've given them amendment to do, I might go, right, I've given you an amendment now. Some amendments. Can we have this redone by Monday? So I change the date. I remove the approval tag. Backlog. Backlog is my area where I've thought about doing something and I go, no, not now. We'll put it on hold. So it all goes into the backlog. So if they're ever short of things to do, which is not often, I will go into the backlog and I'll see what have we started or what have we thought about or what do we need to sort of do. So I put it into there. My recurring tasks are things that happen every single week. So to do with podcasts, to do with lead generation, to do with admin things. I'm very big on like performance, so objectives and key results. I use a platform called 15.5. It's really good, and I go in there and I check my KPIs and see where I'm up to, see if my email list has grown, and plot the numbers into there. And I tell you now, if it was not in here, I would not do it. So I literally click on there and it gives me the link to that page. So I know exactly what it is that I need to do. And I set a weekly commitment. I do all of these different things every single week. So actually, for me now, I have a system. And you need to systemize your working week. If you can't systemize your working week, you're not going to be as productive. Because unfortunately, some people think, and I used to be like this actually, I'll just go with the flow, I'll do what's important on that day. Well, we forget things. We generally have a tendency to focus on the things that we want to do rather than the things that we know we need to do until it's too late or last minute. And then it builds up pressure. And I find doing this way really helpful. And I know then my bottleneck. So I know if I'm not doing something every single day, why that is. So I do have, I'm going to be really honest, I have one major bottleneck at the moment. I'm not doing my 20-minute podcast. All I have to do is record the podcast. I just need to record it. I've even created a system for recording the podcast, and I've got the links in there. So, for example, I click here, it's telling me what I need to record. So, I've already got this written up. So, it should be easy. But for me, this still feels like there's effort. So, I'm really big into habit formation and understanding the psychology behind it. This is the only task in all of those other tasks that I do not do on time. All of the other tasks, sometimes I forget to tick them off. So I end up with, like you saw today, I end up with double the amount of tasks and I just need to go and tick through. That's something that I sometimes do forget. But this is the only task that, even though it's in here and I've got this system in place, that I'm not doing. So there's a behavioral thing around this, massively into behavioral science. When I figure this out, I'm going to share it with you of what I do to end up doing this podcast. I've thought about all sorts of things. I've thought about hiring somebody who looks like me, who does AI and can speak like me and using a system. And it sounds good, but I just feel like I've got stories and I'd still have to do some prep work. And yeah, people want to hear me. Well, they might not, but I want to do it. So it needs to be me. So I just need to do it and find a way to get it done. And my three things when you're creating a new habit, it's got to be easy. It's got to be effortless. It's got to be enjoyable. Oh, four, and efficient. It's got to be all of those four things to make a habit stick. So I used to always think about what they call supplements. And I used to buy all these tablet supplements and I'd do it for like a couple of days and I'd stop doing it. But then I'd try it again because I really want to be healthy. I want to do this. And actually what I realized by reading actually a book by Jason Hariha, when he mentioned those four things, I was like, well, actually it's not enjoyable. It's not exciting. So I've actually now gone with a company called Nourish. This is not an ad, by the way. They're actually like gummies, and you have your own stack of 7 different layers. So you get 7 different vitamins or minerals, and you flavour them, and they come in the post. It works out like £1 a day, and I enjoy it. Every morning I go down. It's like having a little sweet. I mean, they don't taste like Haribo, but they are pretty okay, pretty good. So I now enjoy doing that, and I've not missed one day in 3 months. I'm really, really proud of that. So they're pretty much all of my favorites. And I do have a favorite there of like what my top goal right now, my aspirational goal of where I sort of want to be. And then so my projects are always a mix of house and stuff with my husband. So like house and finances, me and my husband have got travel. So we're going on a cruise soon. So I've got all my things that I need to do for going on a cruise. We go to Marbella at Christmas, need to do that again. Also as well, I have in here, so under my business, I have HR things. So that's anything to do with the team, onboarding, maintenance. I have like my accounts, my admins, my objectives and key results. Polaris, this is actually going to go now because Polaris is our repository. So it's like where we keep all our branding, any strategy, anything that we need to know how to do, we keep on the Polaris, which is on another platform. So we can just log into it and just see like, oh, what are the brand guidelines for this? Or how do we go about doing this? And then projects is the main one. So I have all my projects in here for my different things that I have to do every month, any clients that I'm currently working on, and I'll just log everything into there. And then I have my husband's company, Magnum, which we have the pleasure of working with. We've been doing a complete rebrand, a whole new user experience for them. So been working on Todoist with that, and I've created them the same sort of system. And this is not something that is going to be done automatically until you put everything into it that you need to do. It needs to become a proper system. And once you have that system in place, and systems, I think, are one thing that have made me realize if you want to get things done, you need a system in place. So I would 100% do that. I also integrate with tracking time for my team. It doesn't record the screen, it just records the time that they're working on things. And it's nothing more to see if we're being accurate. So when I'm working with my team on things, so say, for example, let's go to, okay, what I'll try to do is I'll put in brackets here, like how long I think it's going to take. I do this for everything because I do it for myself so I can make track of that, like, is it going to come under 6 hours? But also for my team as well, because a lot of my team, they're all freelancers or contractors. So they charge by the hour. So if I expect something to take 30 minutes and they're going to take 2 hours doing it, then it's a conversation to be had rather than just putting something in there and them timing something and it going over. Now, we can't always estimate, we can only really guess, but we do get better at it. So especially for recurring tasks, something like this. So Dan has to just go in and create some podcast artwork. Now we've already got Canva templates set up. He literally goes in, changes the text, changes the images. It takes him probably even less than 30 minutes. So it's something that we can look at on our time tracking. Are we aligned with what we've actually put on Todoist? And literally all you do for time tracking is you just click play and it starts to record. It records the task title, the project that it's in, and it puts everything on the tracking time app. So I can go in, I can run reports. So when I get invoiced every month, I go through with my PA and sit down before any payments have been made, and it works really, really well. I think that's pretty much it. So if we go to today, something that I have thought is okay to use is your calendar view. However, so as you can see in here, these are the things that are sort of like booked into my calendar. I am not a time boxing person. There are some people in this world who love that routine. For me, having a system and knowing I've got things to do for that day is enough of a routine for me. I also like a bit of flexibility of what I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it. And I think sometimes when we feel too restricted, we end up not doing what we know we should do. So my advice would be, just because everybody else is doing time boxing, if it doesn't work for you, don't beat yourself up about it. Something that you really have to understand when you're trying to create new habit, and this is what it is, using a to-do list, especially like Todoist, is habit. We really need to understand our own personality. So don't try to adapt your personality to a routine that doesn't fit you or who you are. And this is why this works for me and who I am. Because one, I love organization. I love having everything in. I love systems. I love to see the times of things. I love to see the upcoming weeks. I don't like to always put in like times I'm going to do things. I did try this the other day, using the calendar. I have been trying it on and off. For me, it just doesn't work for me, or I find I'm not doing it. So it's almost like, why try to force ourselves to do something that we know we're not actually going to be able to do? And I also think as well, when it's a bit like a to-do list, when we have a really long to-do list and we don't finish it, is that guilt, there's that overwhelm, there's that stress and that's pressure. And that's what I think we need to try and avoid. And that's what I'm trying to avoid by using Todoist, but in a really healthy way that works for me and my personality. I am not a routine person. I've always worked for myself. I just don't like the regimented sort of got to do this at certain times. Obviously, meetings and things like that, you have to. But I do like the flexibility throughout the day. So sometimes I might think, actually, I'm going to go do that while I work in a coffee shop, or I might go there later because that's an easy task to sort of do, and I don't mind being around a bit of hustle and bustle in the background. So sometimes I wake up really early as well. Like I wake up sometimes at like 4, 4:30, and I think, oh, I'm going to start my day. But not everybody's like that. So if I had my day planned and it was 9 to 5 and I woke up early one day, yes, I could start those tasks early, but I'm then moving things around and yeah, just doesn't work for me. So I'm going to really try and understand the podcast thing. I'm going to really work on that. I've done behavioural science before. I'm certified in it. Just need to do it for myself, which we never really get time to do because we're always working on client stuff. But I hope you find that really interesting. Please drop any comments below. More than happy to answer them, and I'll do some more videos soon.